Good afternoon. My name is Mary Catherine Bissett, and I am presenting case study number 8, module 7, which is basically ordinance. Should the city of Dunedin approve micro-mobility types of vehicles for hire under new ordinance 2218 under chapter 82? So first of all, a little background. Um, Chapter 82, uh, this is in the city of Dunedin, Florida, is an ordinance of the city repealing vehicles for hire of the Code of Ordinances of the city of Dunedin in its entirety and creating Chapter 2 transport service vehicles and micro-mobility devices, providing for severability of provisions, repealing all ordinance in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date. So basically what they're doing is the four main points of the issue. There was significant public interest in other micromobility options of transportation, such as options like bike share and even e-scooters. Chapter 82 was enacted in the charter a really long time ago, and it's very archaic, and the public outcry wanted other new modes of transportation um, to be inserted. So that's where 2218 was basically born. Chapter 82, vehicles for hire, the existing ordinance, it only covers taxi cabs and does not contain provisions for micromobility types of vehicles. Ordinance 2218 will create definitions of what is required on each vehicle for safety and regulation, and will require a certificate for each one of the vendors to obtain to be able to operate within the city. Scooters will not be permitted due to fears of leaving them around the Dunedin streets and causing unnecessary obstructions to walking traffic. I attended the Thursday City Council first agenda reading of the vehicles for hire on June the 9th, and of all of the issues that the board went over, the stakeholders went over, the vehicles for hire issue and making sure that language about those electric scooters was worded into 2218 was probably the hottest point of contention between Commissioner Maureen Mofrini, who, her perspective, she was give the people what they want as long as the scooters aren't all over the place. She was very vibrant and supportive of the public. Vice Mayor Deborah Kynes, Mayor Julie Ward-Buchalski were both in favor. Commissioner Jeff Gow in his kilt, Rebecca Schlichter, City Clerk, and Commissioner John Tornga, and they were all in favor. It didn't come to a vote because although they were unanimous in their agreement to move forward with the ordinance and they believe what's best for the people is what is best for downtown, the commissioners expressed a collective concern about scooters, which was added at the meeting. So it was postponed for a final vote when the language about the electric scooters, the prohibition of them, would be added to 2218. Now, City of Dunedin City Attorney Nikki Day, who was out of town but was able to join us live via Zoom at the Thursday night commission meeting, she presented the Vehicles for Hire Ordinance 2218, Chapter 82. The primary reason to redo the ordinance is to include other modes of transportation not envisioned in the charter. And she reiterated that she will make sure that helmets are required and do not become a safety issue, and will ensure the language reflects that no motor scooters for hire are permitted. The perspectives of the primary stakeholders in this project, really the only stakeholders except for the city or the residents. This was all because of a public outcry. Back in 2002, there was a survey of Dunedin residents, and it was promoted on the city's planning division and the city's social media platforms. And the survey collected information about people's existing transportation habits and preferences for traveling in the city, basically polling how people preferred to get around the city of Dunedin, and results indicated a significant interest from citizens to utilize transportation modes other than their personal vehicle, car. The survey asked participants what would encourage them to walk more. Dunedin is very invested in the walkability of its city. And the most common response was fewer cars, calmer streets, and the addition of micro-mobility vehicles, such as golf carts. The survey indicates almost 40% of people would like to use their golf cart as their main mode of transportation. And over 70% choose golf carts as a desirable mode of micro-mobility, but would need greater access to destinations, safer crossings, and language in the ordinance. Many contributors were not in favor of scooters for fear that they would create um, unnecessary traffic on the city streets, on the brick streets, and they would not be well managed. Concerned citizens are wary that there would be conflict with pedestrians, bicycles, and vehicles, especially in downtown and on the Pinellas Trail. My expert interview number one was with Jennifer K. Bramley, the city manager of Dunedin, Florida. She was also present at the meeting, and we did meet. And Ms. Bramley establishes the city's organization, directs and supervises administration of all departments. She enforces all laws, charter provisions, and commission policies, and keeps the commission abreast of policy matters. Jennifer submits annual operating and capital budget to commission and reports to the commission on the financial and administrative activities of the city. Ms. Bramley was appointed city manager by the commission in 2017, so for over 5 years now. She oversees the day-to-day operations of over 380 employees who serve 37,500 residents. She explained the genesis of the vehicles for hire was a very long time coming. She said it took a long time to get to the point of this project. It took a very different path than the typical route of an ordinance. The project received city attention as a result of an ordinance review committee, which, according to the Dunedin City Charter, akin to our U.S. Constitution, the committee must meet every 5 years to convene and review. And at that review committee, the residents of Dunedin completely pushed for this project. The city manager, Jennifer Bramley, implemented the policy of vehicles for hire to fulfill the aspirations and needs of the residents. City manager Bramley heralded this project driven exclusively by the residents of Dunedin. And at the council meeting that I attended, I noted that Ms. Bramley was quiet and attentive. I reiterated this to her, and she said how important it was to listen to the concerns of the public. And although the meeting did not reach a final vote, City Manager Bramley asked if I noted that she whispered approved at the end of the reading, and I did, and it seemed like there was a concurrence among the board members of that. So the nugget of wisdom that Ms. Bramley wanted to impart to the class was that as a leader, you should always put the public interest first What is best for the public good and the public needs are the driving force behind our policies and should be. And that was Jennifer K. Brantley, City Manager of Dunedin, who was an absolute pleasure to meet and to interview. The expert interview number 2 was with Rebecca Schlichter, the City Clerk of Dunedin, Florida. I was going to interview Nikki Day, but she was out of town, and Ms. Schlichter was more than happy to give me her time and attention. She is the city clerk for 2 years with the city of Dunedin. She's responsible for maintaining all public records for the city of Dunedin. She is also responsible for the preparation of agenda and minutes of commission meetings, legal notices, public hearing notifications, proclamations, certificates of appreciation, updating the code of ordinances, overseeing city elections, the Dunedin Cemetery, and records of boards and committees established by the city. Ms. Schlichter explains that 2218 is to further clarify the verbiage in Chapter 82 to include other modes of transportation which were not invented back when the charter was developed, completely resident driven, over 30 different community programs in Dunedin, Florida for community involvement. Ms. Schlichter wanted me to make sure that we were aware of that. She highly recommends the Citizens Academy. It's a program in Dunedin, Florida. It gives residents an all-access backstage VIP pass to learn about government and services delivered. I believe it's a 6-week program. It might be a 9-week program. Each session uses hands-on activities and lectures to provide participants with insight on how local government works and the functions of city departments. And the nugget of wisdom that Rebecca Schlichter, the city clerk of Dunedin, Florida, wanted to share with the class was that committee meetings are always open to the public. They are always available to citizens, and she encourages all of us to participate in our local government and have our voices heard. So together we can shape government. And that was the first city council meeting that I attended, that first reading agenda item of vehicles for hire, chapter 82 on June the 9th. And I have to say, as a Dunedin resident, I've never felt more connected to my community. And I shared that with Ms. Schlichter, and it was pretty wonderful. So for recommendation, I concur with the board members of the City of Dunedin and the residents of Dunedin and approve Ordinance 2218, Ordinance 82 for the management of vehicles for hire. These services will benefit the public and meet their needs, and the language in the ordinance restricting scooters will prevent obstructions on the pedestrian walking paths. And these are my references. And I have a business card. And oh my gosh, we have a business card. I have